What is up, everybody? We are back with our Week 5 recap, Part 2, going over the last 6 games from the Sunday slate. Dad, I was kind of looking at it. The AFC, yeah, I think we have two clear-cut, elite teams in the NFC and the 49ers and Eagles. If you want to throw the Lions in that category, I'm fine. I think they're in a little bit of a tier below, at least as of now. Then the AFC, I don't know. It's pretty open, I think. Obviously Kansas City, it's until you beat them, they're the team to beat. But in the AFC, who are you looking at, like possibly outside the Chiefs and Dolphins and Bills?
Yeah, well, the Dolphins offensively, if they got out there, if they are firing on all cylinders offensively, then they're gonna do good. So, they got to have the running game. I mean, the running game sets up the passing game. If they can get the ball deep to Tyreek Hill or Waddle once or twice in a game and stuff like that, playoff football, they're not going to pitch the ball back to A-Chain and he's not going to go 50 yards every time, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I'd say the Dolphins, they look pretty good, the rest of the AFC, Chiefs, yeah, I don't know. You got to beat them, like you said.
Do yeah.
There's no one like the Ravens. There's no one like the Jets. The Bills. The Bills, of course. But yeah, the Bengals. But
if they're healthy, yeah.
Yeah, when they kind of get their shit together health wise and get their team fire, really really nailing it. So
yeah. Yep, for sure. But we'll get into these matchups and just kind of recap fantasy stuff and a little bit beyond the box score type of stuff. And half PPR again is all of our rankings and numbers. So we'll start with the Giants at the Dolphins. Dad, are the Giants the worst team in the NFL?
Wow. What a disappointment. You're talking about so much reliance on one guy, and that's, Saquon Barkley. If he's not there, then that team sucks offensively. Daniel Jones. If I was a Giants fan, I'd be nauseated, to tell you the truth, thinking that this guy, they paid that guy $40 million a year for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years or whatever they did, and that's who you're going to ride with. I'm telling you, this offseason, we're a long ways from that, of course, but this offseason there's going to be a lot of rookie quarterbacks drafted. There's going to be guys moving all over the place and stuff like that because there's some shitty ass quarterbacks in the NFL. And Daniel Jones, that guy stinks, and he got hurt. Supposedly
he got a neck injury.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like, I don't think he's that great of a quarterback, but also, man, he has no time whatsoever to throw the ball. Like, it was only a matter of time before he got hurt. Tyrod Taylor came in, it was the same thing, like running for his life. So, yeah, I don't think Daniel Jones is that great, and I think it was foolish for them to pay him. They should have just franchise tagged him and because that was the only year, last year was the only year where we saw Daniel Jones lead an offense, lead a team type of thing, and that was it, right? And they gave him all this money. It's like, no, I would want to have seen it. You just could have franchise tagged him, and then if he looked good again, then you give him the money. If he didn't, like this year, then you're out. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but it's not entirely his fault because, one, they don't have many playmakers on this team without Barkley, and two, the offensive line is terrible. So
it's kind of you talk about offensive line. I mean, the Patriots offensive line sucks. The Jets, Zach Wilson's running for his damn life all the time. take a look at the Lions and Jared Goff and that offensive line play. I mean,
The
those guys are,
Eagles.
that's why the Lions are doing well. The 49ers, teams that are doing pretty well. So,
Yeah. No, 100%. It's that's what we were worried about with the Jets, even when Aaron Rodgers was there. So, and then first drive of the season, he gets sacked and blows out his Achilles. So, but yeah, there's not really much to talk about here. Like, we need Saquon back, like you said. Darren Waller was good, 8 catches, 86 yards, and we'll see about the Daniel Jones injury. But I mean, there's nothing exciting really to talk about. You're starting Waller and Barkley when they're in, and that's basically it. Keep an eye on Wandale. Like, if he's going to get 6-7 catches, he might be start worthy in bye weeks. But it's just, we'll move on to a more exciting team, the Dolphins, that are kind of they set the I don't think it's they said they set the record for most yards to the first. I don't think it's a record, but you can't really have a record 5 weeks. They've passed a number. They have the most yards, total yards on an offensive yards in the first 5 weeks. They passed the Rams, the greatest show on turf. So
that sounds like
cool.
that sounds like a made up stat that ESPN does quite a bit. So
yeah, it's not a record. It's a number, and it's something they've accomplished, but it's not a record.
Yes.
But yeah, like Tua, he didn't have the best game. He had 2 interceptions that were kind of not great, but still 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's going to continue to put up numbers with this offense. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's the top 5 QB on the year. Devon Achane, can he keep this up? I mean, the guy's averaging like 10 yards a carry or something ridiculous, like 11 carries for 151 yards and a touchdown. Like, Dad, can he keep this up, or is it going to come back to earth eventually?
Well, all those yards, a lot of them come from one big play. So, I think more realistically is like 11 carries, 60 or 70 yards is what you're going to see. But until they stop him, the guy's got an extra gear and speed. Everybody knew that coming, and holy shit, it was just a perfect fit that the Dolphins said, we want this guy. They know how to use the running backs and utilize the running game. So,
yeah, that's what we kind of said when we were watching these guys. Like, Dolphins would be the perfect fit, and that's where you went. So, Mostert is Mostert. Like, he's still going to be start worthy as well. 10 for 65 and a touchdown. Like, and people are saying like, oh, they're only getting 10 carries, 11 carries. Well, when you bust off an 80-yard run, you can only get so many carries. Like,
yeah, that's right.
You're taking away 5 carries on that drive because you're running for 80-yard touchdowns every time. So, well, it'll be interesting to see. Like, I think you just start both these guys and you keep riding the wave. So, no one in the history of football is going to average 12 yards a carry, and that's just not going to happen. But he's looking awesome. Tyreek Hill's awesome. Are you worried about Jalen Waddle? Like, I know he caught a touchdown, but he's missed a week with injury. But even in being out there, like, he hasn't been that good this year when he was out there. So he's averaging 9.7 half PPR points. Are you a little worried that there's just the run game and Tyreek Hill and they're getting other receivers involved, that Waddle's just not going to be what he was last year?
No, I don't think so. It's going to, it may take a few more games. I think Tua and Waddle have a little connection there. It seems like it seemed like in the past. So, I don't think it went away. So I'm not sure what's going on. Is it the flow of the game or whatever? I didn't watch this game, but I'm not. Waddle's in my starting lineup every week, so I'll take whatever he gets. So,
yeah. Do monitor Tyreek Hill's health. He was like limping off the field late and he just didn't play as much near the end of the game. So yeah, just kind of keep an eye on that, if that's anything at all. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough with Waddle. It might be very boom bust this year though, unfortunately. But you want to be in on those boom games. So yeah, I think that's all for that game. On to the Bengals at the Cardinals. Bengals are back, Dad. Joe Burrow's back and healthy. And what do you think? Is this team gonna? Is this the game that gets this team going?
Yeah, I think it helped definitely. Burrow. You look. Mixon had 25 carries, for 80 some yards and 4 catches, and Jamar Chase had a huge game. So I mean, that's kind of what they needed. So 15 catches for 192 yards, 3 TDs. Then they're gonna be without T. Higgins for a while. If you got broken ribs, it'd be tough to be playing wide receiver with broken ribs, man. You get hit again and you could puncture a lung or something like that. It's like, so he's going to be out of action for a little while. I would predict. So yeah. Good for Jamar Chase. I don't know who this guy Trenton Irwin is.
Yeah, he was on the team last year. He seemed to be, obviously Tyler Boyd's there, but I think Trenton Irwin kind of replaced T. Higgins' role. Yeah, he was basically the out. Like Boyd was not elevated. He still played his role, and Irwin took over as like the outside guy. So, yeah, I mean, he looked good. Like if T. Higgins is going to miss more games, and Trenton Irwin could be a potential start. 8 for 60 yards, like decent numbers. So, yeah, Jamar Chase is awesome though. He set a record for most catches for a Bengals receiver. Joe Mixon is just Joe Mixon, man. He had so many carries at the goal line, and he could just not punch it in. I thought he was a little bit better, more efficient, more explosive guy. He's just not. He's strictly a volume guy, and he's going to get the volume, so he's going to be start worthy. But man, it's frustrating to see him for the last 2-3 years now. It's just like he gets all these goal line carries and just never scores. It's so frustrating. So, but yeah, I mean, you're not complaining too much about Joe Mixon. Like I think he's RB 18 on the year, so whatever. Like he's good enough. He's definitely good enough. So, yeah, I do think Burrow. You saw him running around, you saw him moving, and the first few weeks it was instant sacks if he had to move at all. So that's good to see. And yeah, this team's going to be interesting. Like they're only a game out of first place in their division, despite their, the world's ending. They should tank to get Marvin Harrison Jr. and all this stuff. And now they're one game out of the division. So that's how fast things can change there. On the Cardinals side, Josh Dobbs, I was starting to get excited about him being a potential streamer, but he didn't really run the ball this game, which is kind of
yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, you're allowed to have bad games, and I still think if he's going to run the ball, that's the key. He didn't really run the ball this game. Like he did what he did passing, maybe a little less, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. James Conner got hurt. So that's not good because he was looking good to start. He suffered a knee injury in the second quarter and never returned. And I think, it was Amari DeMarcado, because Keontae Ingram, who was kind of like the next guy in line, rookie last year, he has like a neck injury. He's missed the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, DeMarcado has kind of taken over. So if Connor is hurt, I think this is possible that DeMarcado is maybe a potential waiver wire pickup. 10 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown, a catch for 12 yards. So just keep an eye on that. Marquise Brown's been go ahead.
What was Connor's injury?
It was a knee injury.
Oh boy,
knee injury, but I don't know how severe. He never came back. Okay. It was he kind of made like a leaping play, got hit in the air. It wasn't like a non-contact thing or a helmet to the knee. So hopefully it's not serious. I guess we'll get more information as the week goes on. But yeah, just keep an eye on that. Yeah, Marquise Brown has been really good this year. Like I kind of had this hope for him coming into the year. Can he get 6 for 70, 6 for 60 every week? And then the occasional touchdown. Well, he's been getting the touchdowns. I think it's 3 straight weeks with the touchdown, 4 catches on 10 targets, 60 yards. So that's good to see. He's actually he's the wide receiver 14 on the year, which maybe a lot of people wouldn't realize. He's had 4 straight games of at least 13 half PPR points. So he's been awesome. He's a no-brainer start. Rondale Moore, keep an eye on him. If Connor does miss some time and Keontae Ingram's still out, he could get more carries. They've been giving him a lot of carries, and he's had a couple 40-yard runs. So he had 3 carries for 50 yards this game. Just keep an eye on that. He could become like a sneaky, 3-4 catches, 5 carries, and we'll see what he gets. Michael Wilson, if you spend a bunch of fab on him, you're a little disappointed. He didn't do much. And then, yeah. Zach Ertz caught a touchdown, which you're happy with. Go ahead.
No, spending Michael Wilson, he'll be there. He'll show up. You can't expect 2 touchdowns every week. Let's be realistic. So, they still are the Cardinals. So,
yeah. Yep, they still are the Cardinals. That is for sure. Yeah. They're going to be fun to watch, but not much to talk about in terms of usage there. Eagles at the Rams is our next game. Jalen Hurts looked great. 300 yards. He still feels like he's learning the offense or something. Shane Steichen gone. I think we underrate when these teams lose these coordinators. They lost both their coordinators, defensive and offensive coordinator. I think we underrate that a little bit. But Hurts is, he ran for 70 yards, 2 total touchdowns. You're fine with Hurts. DeAndre Swift had another solid game, 100 total yards with 6 catches. AJ Brown, awesome. Devontae Smith, I think that's 2 straight weeks now of Devontae Smith has kind of been not very good. It's 2 of the last 3 weeks. Are you worried about it, Dad, or are you just you're gonna get games like this with Devontae Smith type of thing?
Yeah, I think last year there was a stretch of a few games where it didn't look very good, and things kind of shifted. I thought it was this time of year too last year, but yeah, one catch for 6 yards. That's not very good, but
you can't bench him.
No, hell no, you can't bench him. You just got to ride with it. It's a wave. Some days it's big, some days it's small.
Yeah, they made it a point to get Dallas Goedert involved in this game too. 8 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. I was saying, people were talking about benching Goedert for certain players. And I was like, no, you just got to roll with Goedert. He's going to get a bounce back game. I felt like this week was the bounce back week, and it was. So because he can do those type of numbers, you just start him every week, and you live with the 3 catches for 25 yards. So I don't know. There's not much to talk about the Eagles. You're starting all those guys: Hurts, Swift, Brown, Smith, and Goddard. So on the Rams side, Stafford, 222 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams. Are you worried about Kyron Williams with Cooper Kupp coming back? A big part of his game was getting a lot of catches, Dad. Are you kind of worried that that's going to go away and we kind of missed our moment to maybe sell high on him? Or what do you think with Kyron Williams?
No, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. He was getting all the touches, so there wasn't even anybody else in the picture. And I'd have to look at the box score and see who else is playing. But as long as he's in there, he's a rookie, he's a young guy, so hopefully he can stay. What's that?
He's a second-year guy.
Yeah. Okay. So he's a young guy, but he can hopefully handle that load. And if he's gonna I think the offense is going to make a little adjustment, of course. So, it's nice to see Cup and Nakua. They didn't have huge games, but they were pretty relevant. Even though it looks like Tyler Higbee is the one who suffered a little bit.
Yeah, I am worried slightly about Kyron. Like, we were getting top 5 running back Kyron Williams, and I think if you could have sold him for that, you should have. But I don't know, like, because again, if you just look at his game logs, week 1 he didn't do too much, but week 2, 10 targets, 6 catches. Week 3, 7 targets. I don't think you're ever going to get that. I don't think you're going to get that anymore. I think it's with Cooper Kupp back. It's going to be all like Kupp and Nakua, and that's it really. So I think if you get a couple catches from Kyron, you're happy. He's going to become, to me, a little bit more of a touchdown dependent running back. He's still going to get all the carries, which is good to see, and he could bust off a big one. But it's just, even to his great start, he had more than 55 yards rushing once in the first 5 weeks. So it was a very touchdown heavy type of production. So, you're still going to roll him out there, but I just don't know if you're going to get top 5 running back type of stuff anymore. But he still had 80% of the snaps, 84%. So that's what you want to see. Yeah, you mentioned it. Cooper Kupp and Nakua both went off. I mean, not went off, but Cooper Kupp had 8 for 118 in his first game back since October of last year. Like, he almost was out like an entire year, right? If I remember. Yeah. So it looked like he was going to catch 20 balls. They had like six targets on the first drive or something ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I'm just looking at that now. He caught 5 passes for 56 yards on the opening drive. So kind of after that, it wasn't as prolific. So yeah.
And the Eagles are a good defense. They probably adjusted, but Puka Nakua still had 11 targets. So if you were worried about that at all, don't be. You're still going to get solid. You're not going to get top 5 receiver stuff from Puka, but you're going to get top 15, top 20 receiver stuff. So 7 for 71 and a touchdown. Tutu Atwell might be out as the starting guy. I mean, he did catch a touchdown, which is good to see. But I just don't know if he's going to get the volume. He's wide receiver 24 in the year, and you should just be happy if you got two starts out of Tutu Atwell. You should be happy that you got that, and maybe I'm not saying drop him necessarily, but if Puka and Cooper Kupp are going to get 23 targets, that's over 50% of the target share. Like, you're not going to get much else. Like you said, Tyler Higbee as well. Hopefully, he can do a little bit more, like 4 catches for 50 yards and be tight end relevant. But good to see with Puka and Cooper Kupp on the same team. So, we'll move on to the Jets at the Broncos. FTB, fuck the Broncos. That's my motto. But we'll start with the Jets. Zach Wilson, he didn't look as good as he did against the Chiefs. Unfortunately, it was the Breece Hall show. Breece Hall, Dad, from this week on, Breece Hall is a top what running back? What would you say? Starting in what we just did.
Top.
By the way, his numbers is real quick. 22 for 177 and a touchdown, 3 catches for 17 yards.
Yeah, I'd say top 8 running back.
Ooh. I'd probably go higher.
Yeah, I'm being a little conservative. I thought top 5, but we'll see. We'll see. They still got Dalvin Cook there. I don't know how they're using him. I've heard nothing about Dalvin Cook so far at the Jets. So
they actually used Michael Carter more than Dalvin Cook in terms of snaps.
That's a waste of $6 million or whatever it was.
Yeah, no, I think it's how do you get away from this type of this is your ticket to if you're gonna win games, you're gonna win this by Breece Hall doing this, And the Broncos defense is terrible. Their run defense is terrible. I understand that. But I think I think top 5 if I had to put money on it. Brees Hall is awesome. Like, he would have been the potentially RB1 this year. You know, him or McCaffrey going into this year if he didn't get hurt last year. So yeah, he's awesome, and they need to give him. This is what they need to give him. So you kind of look. I'm just gonna take a look at their schedule. It's not the best. You got the Eagles, then you got the Giants. That's a good game. You got the Chargers. That should be a good game. You got the Raiders, Bills, Dolphins, Falcons, Texans. So you have a pretty good schedule, I would say, for a couple tough games in there. But yeah, I think he's a top 5 running back rest of the season. So excited for that. Garrett Wilson only 3 for 54. So I mean, you're going to get games like that, unfortunately. So Tyler Conklin could be a streaming tight end now. That's 2 good weeks. 4 for 67 for Conklin. So just kind of keep an eye on that. Anything else you want to say on the Jets, Dad? I mean, not much to talk about here.
No, just, you know, a little, you know, it's kind of a shame to waste Garrett Wilson's ability. So, you know, it's just it's what's happening, and you know, it's yeah,
it is. It is a shame for sure. But on the Broncos side, man, Russell Wilson still had a productive fantasy game somehow. I mean, his 50 yards rushing was part of the reason, but nothing on the receiving side. Cortland Sutton, I think his first catch was in the 4th quarter, 13 yards. Jerry Jeudy had 6 catches for 50. Oh, man, it's just gross. Like, is this team going to – I'm hearing rumors that they could trade Sutton and Jeudy and Pat Surtain and just, like, essentially tank for Caleb Williams. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
They should trade Russell Wilson to the Jets. That's what they should do.
Well, yeah, that's not going to happen because it's salary cap. But it was funny that there was a video clip of Sean Payton reaming out Russell Wilson on the sideline. So it's like, you can tell, you know, they're going to play out the season, and they could trade those wide receivers very easily, and Sutton and Jeudy or something like that for a 6th or 7th round draft pick. But man, you know, things are not
bad.
Yeah, you talk about it's not right. Garbage.
It is. It's bad. I don't even think, like, Russell Wilson's been good in terms of fantasy. He's QB8 on the year. I don't know. Sean Payton's very happy with Russell Wilson as his quarterback. Like,
no,
I don't think he is. Man, Jaleel McLaughlin looked good. Javonte Williams is out. I think they should give him more. Him and Marvin Mims. I know Marvin Mims had a couple bad plays, but he still just play the young guys, man, and see what you got with them and see what they can do. Like, why is I think they were down in the 4th quarter, either by like a touchdown or 10 points or something, and they're like handing the ball off to Samaje Perine for 3 yards. You know, it's like, what are we doing? You know, like, give it to Jaleel McLaughlin, 9 carries, 68 yards, 3 catches, 21 yards. I think he could potentially be their best running back rest of the season, but we'll see when Javonte comes back. But it's just gross. Denver's just gross. I don't even want to. You want to just move on? I don't even necessarily want to talk too much more.
No, it's not worthy of much more discussion. So
yeah, and why are we not stacking the box to stop Brees Hall? Like, are you worried about Zach Wilson? Like, what do we do? I don't know, man. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, all right, Pat Surtain, you shut down Garrett Wilson, and then we stack the box and stop Brees Hall and make Zach Wilson beat you with Alan Lazard and Tyler Conklin. Like, let him. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. But anyways, Chiefs at the Vikings. We'll start with the Chiefs. They don't seem to be clicking necessarily offensively, right, Dad? Like, it seems a little off.
Yeah, it's seems to be the wide receiver thing, of course. So, which we've kind of talked about a little bit, and Mahomes' numbers are going to be there, but it's not going to be. Yeah, something's not right. Kelsey, he caught a lot of passes. I think he hurt his ankle, but he came back. But just the Chiefs seem vulnerable in the AFC. Let's just say that.
They do, and if Kelsey, I thought it was a little bit more serious of an injury, non-contact, just fell, was all pissed off, throwing his helmet. Thought maybe it was just like an Achilles, Yeah, I think I mentioned this in the preview show. I think we are underestimating potentially the value of guys like a Juju Smith-Schuster was for this team, a Mecole Hardman was for this team. For fantasy they were fine. Juju was fine. Hardman was never that guy, but just these receivers you can rely on because they don't have anyone. They don't have anyone to rely on. So yeah, this team without Kelsey, if he misses time, they play Thursday night. If he misses that week, what's it going to look like? They do play the Broncos though, so that's a nice remedy. Mahomes he was fine. 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, you're not worried about Mahomes. He's still QB6 on the year. Don't know if he's going to have QB1 potential, but you're not worried about Mahomes at all. Isaiah Pacheco, maybe this is the key to their team. He's looked really, really good. It's someone I was wrong on. 16 carries, only 55 yards, but he has a touchdown. He's going to have touchdown opportunities more often than not on a good offense. And he's getting the carries. He's getting catches and targets and stuff like that. Only 1 catch this game, but he's had 3 or 4 in the last couple games. Pacheco's awesome. He's RB12 on the year. That could be the key. Like, they could rely more on him. But yeah, not much to talk about in the receiving room. Kelsey had 10 catches for 67 yards and a touchdown, so he's really good. Dad, is there if you had to choose a receiver, like someone saying, I want to stash a Kansas City receiver, who are you? Is there anyone you're choosing?
Well, it appears though that rookie Rice, Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
So what the hell's happened to Sky Moore and MVS and the rest of these guys? Are they? It's not. Obviously it's not working.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's Rashee Rice is the guy I want if I'm going to stash a receiver here. He's the guy I want. I mean, still MVS. I mean, Justin Watson maybe. But yeah, I think Rashee Rice could potentially be the guy. But on the Vikings side, Kirk Cousins was fine for fantasy. Alexander Mattison caught a touchdown, which saved you, but monitor that situation. His playing time went down. He scored a touchdown, but I think long term there's potentially a reason to. I would try and sell him. You have 3 good weeks now in a row for Alexander Mattison, but the splits are a little. Cam Akers is taking a little bit more. So
they also they kind of seem to abandon the run game a little bit, the Vikings. So Kirk Cousins threw 47 passes. So not one running back had double-digit carries. So
and their fullback CJ Ham was the passing downs back. He was in there in passing downs. So I think. I don't know. I'm worried about Madison's long-term value. Like, it looks good now, but just the numbers are trending towards this guy might be irrelevant when we're talking about him in week 9 or something. So just keep that in mind for sure. And then Justin Jefferson got hurt, and it's a hamstring, and he didn't come. Yeah, it was in the 4th quarter. He didn't return. He wasn't having a good game anyways, but I think KJ Osborne potentially a waiver wire ad if Jefferson's a hamstring. I don't know, the original language behind it was like, hopefully we can get him back in a few weeks, or I don't know. If he's out though, that sucks.
It sucks for the Vikings.
Yep. Good for Jordan Addison. He had 6 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. This is why they drafted him, partly. Hawkinson, 551. He's still, a good tight end. But yeah, just kind of keep an eye on that Jefferson news during the week. And I think KJ Osborne, again, this team's going to throw the ball a hell of a lot of times. So, yeah. On to the last matchup here. We have the Cowboys and 49ers that, this game was getting hyped up. And, man, what is up, Dad? What's wrong with Dak Prescott?
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's it ain't the same. You guys, they get their money, and he hasn't, since he got his big contract a few years ago, he has not looked the same. And you talk about somebody who can make a big splash and want to move on to a different quarterback in the offseason, that could be the big Dallas Cowboys, because you have basically topped out on what you're getting out of Dak Prescott, and I personally like the guy, and stuff like that, but you've hit what do they call it? You've hit the ceiling,
Yeah.
or you're on the floor, whatever you want to call it. So you've gotten everything you're getting out of Dak Prescott, and you ain't getting any more. So,
yeah, I think part of it is Mike McCarthy too, and that just the play calling in general. Like there was a third. The game was still close. I don't know if it was in the first or second half, maybe early in the third quarter. Game was still close. It was like 3rd and 5. Cowboys have the ball, and then they just run it up the middle of Pollard, and they get stopped on their own. And it's like, throw the ball, be creative, get the first down, and this game's still a game type of thing. And yeah, I don't know, man. I'm moving on from Dak as a fantasy guy. Baker Mayfield has more points than Dak, and Baker Mayfield's had a bye this week. Desmond Ridder has more points than Dak Prescott. Daniel Jones has about a point less than Dak Prescott, and think about how bad he's been. Yeah, Kenny Pickett has 4 points less than Dak. It's bad.
That's terrible. Man. Those are 3 quarterbacks. I didn't think they would. I didn't think their numbers would be near Dak's, but
it's bad. It's bad for everyone. Pollard 8 carries, 29 yards, 4 catches. If this offense can't get going, CeeDee Lamb gets 5 targets. They just couldn't sustain anything. That's all it was for the Cowboys. So hopefully it was the 49ers, and they just got punched in the mouth, and they can bounce back. But we were talking about this team being the best team in the NFL 2 weeks ago, and now I think they're at best 4th best in the NFC. It's 49ers, Eagles, and probably Lions. So, I don't know. 49ers were the 49ers. It was the George Kittle game, 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. CMC still had a good game. Wasn't explosive 30-point game that he's used to with CMC, but he still played well. Ayuk had 4 for 58. Debo had 3 catches and 5 carries. So I don't know. There's not really much to talk about the 49ers. You're starting these guys, and
go
ahead.
Yeah, the 49ers look like they just beat up teams. Physically, they look, and part of that is, they can run the ball. So when you can run the ball, you're kind of, the old saying, I'm physically imposing my will. But the 49ers, defensively, their defensive line, they're just, they're just slapping the Cowboys around, man. It's just Micah Parsons. Sorry, dude. So much for the Lawrence Taylor friggin' talk. That was all bullshit. I hate when that happens. So, Micah Parsons is nowhere near Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, this 49ers team looks unstoppable, right now. And we see this every year. This team looks unstoppable. And then as season gets along, you get more tape, the weather gets colder, it becomes a little closer and everything. You've seen it for your entire life, Dad. I've seen it for as long as I've been watching football. Think of the 2007 Patriots, just absolutely dominating teams for the month of September and October. And then games started to get a little closer. They were still, obviously they went undefeated, but they weren't winning 45-0 and stuff. It was 27-20 type of games. And then,
it kind of changes a little bit as the weather changes and stuff like that. So,
yep. This team just needs to stay healthy, and it's going to be tough to see anyone because it's not just their offense, it's their defense, it's their offensive line. Like they literally Debo, McCaffrey, Ayuk, Kittle, any of these guys can take over games. If they can all stay healthy, it's like, how do you stop all these guys? So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they can stay healthy. That's for sure. Do the Lions and 49ers play this year? I wonder. They do. I'm looking right now.
They
don't.
do.
No. That'd be fun to watch. But anyways, we're going to finish up there. As always, like
maybe in the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe in the playoffs.
I
Maybe. I know the Niners and Eagles play in like December or something. So that would be a fun game.
Ooh, we got the Lions and the Broncos.
Oh, yay. You need to go to, what are they playing? The Rams at home, or are they playing the Chargers in LA? I mean,
they're playing the Chargers. You
should go.
Yeah, I don't have anybody really to go with, so it's not.
When is it?
It's
November 12th?
it's like mid-November.
Maybe I'll be there and I'll go. We'll see. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
But we're going to finish up there, and we'll be back with the preview video this week. And as always, appreciate it. We'll catch you guys.